Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are located. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to today's live Zoom session. Today we have a special session because anybody can relate to this live Zoom session that we're going to talk about today. Our live Zoom session today is going to be over college and how to navigate the waters of college while you are on active duty. All right. So again, this is a special session, even so special that we even have a special guest today. But before we get to our special guest, I would like to introduce all of our presenters. So I'm going to go down the list. So the presenters we have today are HM2 Watson. We have Chief Beltry. We have Chief Maddox. We have Chief Tech. We have special guest, Miss Karen. We have HM1 Gibson. We have Chief Jones. We have Chief Van Buskirk. And we have CMC Hodges. And I am your host today. I am Chief McCauley. Oh, I'm sorry, I left out one presenter. Also, we have HM1 Chapin. I didn't forget you. All right. And then I am your host, Chief McCauley. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our college live Zoom session. And I will pass it over to Chief Tech.
All right, thank you, Chief McCauley. My name is Chief Tech Lab. I am here to do two things. One, I will be doing my presentation, but first and foremost, it would be kind of helping with uploading documents for Miss Karen. Miss Karen is the Regional Navy College Program Advisor out on the West Coast, San Diego region. And she comes here joining us on a weekend to share a lot of information that she has. Obviously, if it was a command brief setting, this could take a long time, but she's going to give us a quick rundown of the opportunities and programs that are available. And then once she's done with that, we'll take on some of the questions through the chat and then maybe present it to her. Consolidate those questions and be able to respond back either through the Facebook channel that we have or via email. All right, so Ms. Karen Stanberry, you have the floor, and I will upload your first document for you as you speak.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Hi, thank you for inviting me. So first and foremost, I am your Navy College Region Advisor, and I'm assigned to Navy Region Southwest. So Chief, if we can go ahead and go all the way to slide number 5. A lot of you may be contemplating college education. We're here to provide assistance to you in how to explore your college education career path. And we provide the required counseling, as well as we walk you through the tuition assistance training that's required. Some of you may be qualified for NC PACE, Navy College Program for Applied College Education. That means you would have to be assigned to Category 2 or Category 4, your sea deploying. Now, majority of you may not be aware that the Navy sunset the instruction led. In the past, we actually had instructors come on board the ships to teach. That's no longer the case. However, the Navy did maintain the distance learning. So you are eligible for that. Now, the one big change about that is whatever the tuition assistant cap limit, as well as the NC PACE, it's a combination now. So with the 12 semester hours current cap limit, if you took 6 credit hours of TA, and then you're eligible for another 6 credit hours of NC PACE. In order to be an NC PACE school, the school must agree to deliver the courses via CD-ROM, PDA. It cannot be delivered through internet, because the idea is our sailors should be able to access it any place without having to worry about internet access. Now, the one thing too that's required is the education plan. A lot of you may not be aware that's actually for your protection. By having an official education plan, that means you're matriculating with the school, you're degree seeking. That's your contract between the school, and it's based on the catalog year you entered the school. By having that, it lists all the required courses that the school will require from you. That means you've also submitted all your official transcript. By having that, if the school decides to change the requirements the following catalog year, you're grandfathered. You will not be required to take additional classes. To kind of further drive that message to you, you had a shipmate when I was in Charleston. He had an education plan. It was formerly called SOCMAP, Service Member Opportunity College Navy. And it was 8 years old. It was submitted, it was given to him by the local community college in Charleston. Upon his return 8 years later, he submits that copy thinking he might have to restart the process. Well, guess what, guys? It was good for 10 years. So they honored it, and he didn't have to restart the clock. Whatever remaining courses he needed, that's all he had to take. And Chief, can we go ahead and go to number 6, please? Slide 6. The one thing I do want to emphasize is, as you could see, you must meet the command's policy before you can use tuition assistance. Now, if your command requires you complete all your quals, please do so. Let this be, if you're really interested in using tuition assistance, I use it as this is your intestinal fortitude to complete all the qualification, and if you're required to have your warfare pin, please get to know your Navy jobs first in order to be eligible for tuition assistance. And once you start using it, I really highly recommend that you do use your tuition assistance. Don't give it back to the Navy, okay? This is your right. This is your entitlement. Number 7, please. Now, as you can see, that this is the TA policy. There was a change that just recently came out, current NAB admin. I want you to keep in mind that that admin does not take effect until fiscal year 2022. And you've got something to look forward to, because right now the current cap limit is 12 semester hours. Well, then for 2022, it'll be 18 credit hours, which equates to $4,500. That $4,500 is actually the congressionally mandated cap limit for all branches of service. So you've got something to look forward to, guys. Now, just because you're using tuition assistance doesn't mean that you can't apply for federal financial aid. I'm going to skip over real quick. I recommend for all my sailors to apply for federal financial aid. There are 3 things that consist of federal financial aid. One is FAFSA Pell Grant. Pell Grant is what we essentially call free money. If you qualify for it, what's going to happen is the federal government will pay for your tuition. The second portion of FAFSA is subsidized student loan. And that subsidized student loan is anywhere from 2.5% to 7.5% interest rate, depending on which one you lock in. The last piece of that is the unsubsidized student loan. It starts at 8%. School officials have told me it's up to 16%. I really caution you, unless you really need the unsubsidized loan, weigh out the pros and cons, because we've had sailors and family members get in a little bit of a pickle by taking out those loans. You have a lot of financial resources that's available for you, including scholarships. And I would recommend that you actually apply for the scholarships prior to applying for loans. And if we can go ahead and go into slide number 9, I'm sorry, go back to number 8. All sailors must log into My Education account. You each have a My Education account. It doesn't matter if you're enlisted or officer, everybody has My Education account. Now on your My Education account, it actually lists all courses, and if you have a degree, it would list, if you have a degree listed on your joint service transcript, well, guess what? On your My Education, my colleagues at the Virtual Education Center can actually see if you have a degree that you've earned already. One thing I have to caution you, the Navy does pay for an associate's, bachelor's, master's, and a certificate. However, if you came in the Navy with an associate's degree, the Navy will, the current policy dictates that we cannot pay for another associate's degree. If you came in with a bachelor's degree, it's the same policy. We cannot pay for another one. The only exception is if your degree was from a foreign country, and if your degree it was a foreign country and the accrediting body is not recognized by the U.S. Department of Education, then you're eligible to pursue another associate's, bachelor's, or even a master's degree, since it was paid, your degree came from a foreign national degree. I really recommend that you do that. We've had, especially in the corpsman community, we have many corpsmen who came in the Navy with a bachelor's degree from their country. This is a great opportunity for you to utilize it. The one thing that I need to add is, if your degree is from a foreign national and you want to complete a bachelor's in the U.S. school system, do not have your transcript evaluated by a private company. Let the school you're going to inform you where they want it sent, okay? Because some of those companies will only evaluate it according to how they define it. We're finding majority of schools prefer certain companies, and they, rather than you pay an extravagant amount of money, let the school you want to go to tell you where to send it. Okay, I don't want you guys to spend $700 and just to find out the school will not accept that articulation, that translation from the company. So if we can go to number 9, please. As you can see, this is a screenshot of my education screen. If you have a CAC-enabled computer, guys, you can, all you have to do is put your PIN number. You do not have to have a CAC-enabled computer to utilize my education. One caveat, unfortunately, my education will not work on a Mac. So if you have a Mac, unfortunately, it does not work. If you do not have a Mac, you can utilize it, but I do recommend you clear your browsing history before typing in your DoD ID number, last name, first name, and your date of birth to access it. And we're just going to quickly go through slide number 10, please. You'll see the buttons. I do recommend you update your profile, which is your updated information, and the notification. Please read the notification tab. Majority of it you can just read and delete. However, if it's regarding nav admin, you are going to be required to acknowledge. If you fail to acknowledge, the system will not allow you to move forward. So please read and acknowledge so you can go to the next step. And as you can see on this main page, you have the tab for tuition assistance and NC pays. Once you go into each of the tab, for example, tuition assistance, you will see that there's the required training, TA/NC pays, and virtual counseling 101. Go ahead and knock it out while you're trying to figure out which education, or while you're waiting for your command to inform you that you can start utilizing tuition assistance. There's nothing wrong with doing it, and you only have to do it once in your military career. On the NC pays tab, there's also another section that says TA/NC pays. When you go in, I also recommend you do that. It might look like it's the same training, but there is one difference. It gets coded into your account as code 400 for NC pays and code 10 for tuition assistance. The system will notify my colleagues at the Virtual Education Center that you've actually completed all that. You may be on a short rotation, but I still recommend you knock it out, knock out the NC pays training, because you only have to do it again once in your lifetime, and you don't have to worry about it again. The virtual counseling that you see on the NC pays tab, once you've done it on the TA, you only have to do it once. You don't have to do it again. Okay, you will be required to upload your education plan. Now, there are two things. The first education plan you're going to upload is an unofficial education plan from the academic institution you're planning to pursue your degree. It lists all required courses from that academic institution. With that said, the current policy, tuition assistance policy, is once the Navy has authorized funding for 9 credits, you will be required to upload your official education plan. And by the way, both plans have to be approved by my colleague, or if you want to get a hold of me, I'll gladly approve it for you. Now, out of full disclosure, you can ask me a lot of questions and I'll document it as a note, and I will do a warm handoff to you, to my virtual colleagues. Because of my current position, I'm not allowed to document it as a counseling session. All I can tell you is when I do a warm handoff to my colleague, they will read what I put down and they will exactly know what you and I conversed about. So they will use that as a stepping stone for your counseling, and usually can fast track your counseling session. And with that, I hope that helps for that, guys. Now on your tuition assistance too, I do recommend you navigate through this website and get to know about your information. Once you start using CLEP and DSST, it's also going to be documented on this website. Now let's go ahead and go to just quickly to my profile, Chief, slide 11. I'm just letting you know how it looks like, guys. Slide 12, please. This is the notification that I mentioned to you about. Slide 13. As you can see, once you've completed all the training, there will be a tab that says Create Tuition Assistance right after the course catalog. You are required to process your TA every term. So although the policy says you must make sure that it's command approved 14 days prior to start date, I'm a little anal about this, guys. I tell everybody to please process and have it command approved 30 days in advance so that your account is in the system ahead of time, okay? And the name of the game is, the sooner you command approves it, the sooner that you are up on the priority list. It's based on when it's command approved. And once it hits the inside the 14-day window, your command might be, the command approver might be able to see it, but he or she will not be able to authorize your funding. One thing I need to also highlight is, you see where it says course catalog tab. In 2017, the Navy contacted a lot of academic institutions and requested for them to upload the course catalog. The beauty of uploading the course catalog is once you process it, it's command approved, and with the caveat that we have money for that quarter, it gets funded immediately. If you have to hand type the information like your course code, course title, then your TA request actually has to be manually authorized for funding by one of my colleagues at the Virtual Education Center, which prolongs the authorization of your TA request. Now, I do need for you to keep in mind that course catalog, not all courses were uploaded by your academic institution, and it's not their fault. The reason being is that the reason being is because the course catalog, they're limited to 2 kilobytes of files, guys. That's the only reason for that. So I would really recommend that before you process your TA, check the course catalog to see if the course you're applying for is on there. And if we can go ahead and go to step number 14, slide 14, sorry. Now I'm gonna divert to another section. Some of you may not be sure what you want. As I always tell all my students, what do you want to be when you grow up? If you're not sure what degree to pursue, you have a choice. You can do the general studies, or I would recommend log into Tutor Journey and use that as a career college planning. It's going to assist you in what you want to do. It's not always to the extent, but when you're selecting a degree, this is what I also tell all the sailors. Before selecting a degree, I would say, think about what do you want to do? What job do you want to do in the civilian sector? And if you have a particular job you want to do, start researching what the requirements are for that job. If the company requires that you have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a certificate, then now you can reformulate and attack it that way. Instead of saying, hey, my shipmate is pursuing a degree in health sciences, is that really what you want to do? Perhaps you want to be, for example, there's a certificate at UCSD. You might want to be a coder, or you want to handle billing or analytics. Need to find, and you need to start researching from the private industry what their requirements are. Now, on top of that, I don't want you to be surprised. We're finding more and more companies are requiring that you provide your official transcript to them. And guess what? Before they offer the job to you guys, they will actually contact your school to verify that you did indeed complete that associate's, bachelor's, master's, or certificate before they offer the job to you. And that's actually for the protection too. So I'm going to connect the dots. Since I'm talking to the Corpsman community, everybody's aware of the JCO community, right? The JCO. Guess what? Civilian sectors are having to comply with that. So please keep in mind that when you're looking for a job, connect the dots that way. And if you don't, and be careful when you're selecting a school. There are two types of accreditation. That's another thing the companies are looking for. Do not be surprised, especially in the healthcare industry. More and more healthcare companies are requiring the degree must be from a regionally accredited institution. That's not my rule, that's the company's rules, okay? And with that said, on top of that, there's another portion too, that's the accreditation for the degree program. So for example, HM1, oh, by the way, congratulations. I'm proud to say I'm from the same alumni of Texas A&M Corpus Christi. It has to have the NCLEX, which is the licensure for nursing. And for the BSN, you have to have one of the accrediting requirements. If it doesn't have those accrediting requirements, you're going to have a tough time finding a hospital, or if you're trying to put in for a nurse corps program. The nurse corps requires that the BSN program must also be professionally accredited. And other healthcare field. So for example, in the lab side of the house, the radiology, physical therapy, it has to have those professional accreditation. Please, everyone, make sure you educate yourself on that, okay? And before you commit yourself to a school, also look with the type of school. There, for the regionally accredited institution, we have the state schools. State schools are the 2-year community college or the 4-year universities. To kind of give you an example of regionally accredited schools, think about the MESTEP program, the DUINS program, the military academy, as well as the ROTC programs. They're all regionally accredited. So when you're looking at anything in the field of medicine, keep that in mind when you're selecting a school. I've already mentioned to you about the state regional accredited school. The second portion of the regional accredited institution is the private not-for-profit schools. And the third is the private for-profit schools that are regionally accredited. Now, when we say private for-profit, that simply means you can buy stocks in the stock market for that institution. Now, transferability between regional to regional is typically easier, but there seems to be a misconstrued notion, guys. The misconstrued notion is, oh, I went to a regional accredited institution, therefore they're going to accept the credits. That's not how they play. They actually have to make sure that the courses that you took is applicable towards the degree you want to pursue with their institution. This is another thing I recommend. Make sure you keep a copy of your course catalog, because if you took a course and now you're the new institution you're planning to pursue your degree saying, no, you need to take this particular portion. Let's just use art history. In Texas, it's art history. In California, it's art appreciation. By having the course catalog, you can present that to your academic advisor, and you can argue. I've been able to argue a point with schools on Sailor's behalf, because as long as I could show them. Now, this is how you're going to be able to fight for your course credit, so if you don't have to retake something. But it's utmost important, guys, that you maintain copies of your course catalog. I know with moving here and there, that's something we all, and I'm guilty of it. we don't think about maintaining. But for your sake, please keep copies, guys, okay? Now, another thing too, if when you go out in the civilian sector, I'm going to go off script a little bit. Many years ago, there was an article on Reader's Digest, and it was basically based on veterans who got out in the military and the extent of were they able to find a job. The reason I'm driving this too is because I'm speaking to the corpsman community right now, guys. The example they used was a young corpsman, E5, who got out. It took him 5 years to find a job, and he eventually found a job at the hospital. Unfortunately, they would not hire him for the job that he was doing for the Navy, even though he did it for many years. And the reason being is because he did not have at least a minimum of a certificate for his specialization in the Navy. I really recommend, guys, before you get out, I'm not here to tell you which one is better, but I just want you to make sure that when you go out there, you're on equal footing as your civilian counterpart. So think about, again, where do you want to work and what does that industry require? The Navy will pay for an associate's, bachelor's, master's, and a certificate. It's out there, utilize it. And by the way, you also have Navy Cool. Take a look and see what you're eligible to get your certification. Let the Navy pay for it. Now, one quick thing, I'm going to bounce back again to, in case you're not sure, there is a new slide number 15, please. If the Cooter is not helping you locate the career you want, this is a new website, the Career Path Design. Take a look at it. By the way, this Career Path Design could also help your spouse and your family members. So utilize it and see what you can find, what you might want to do, or perhaps you haven't even thought about it. Okay. And number 17, I already mentioned this to you, but I want to drive it again, the accreditation. It's very important, especially in the healthcare industry. Now, some of you, I'm just going to divert a little bit. Some of you might decide, well, Karen, I want to be a teacher. If you want to be a teacher in any school district in the United States, again, you have to provide a copy of your official transcripts. Do not be surprised. Majority of states require the bachelor's degree must be from a regionally accredited institution. If it's not, they will not hire you. Those are their policy and they're not my policy. I just want you to know that. If you decide you want to be an engineer, you have to follow the same rules. It has, in order for you to be hired by an engineering firm, your bachelor's degree in any field of engineering has to be ABET accredited. That's a professional accreditation. And then once you've been working for that civilian industry for 5 years, the state will allow you to take the professional engineering license. Again, going back to the nursing program, I'm going to connect the dot, guys. This is another thing you have to educate yourself. You need to find out what the state's requirements are for licensure. So whether it's in the healthcare, teaching, engineering, whatever aspect, you need to find out what the state's requirements are and where do you want to be licensed, okay? By the way, save your receipts on anything you do that pertains to education. Always ask your tax preparer if you can write it off on your taxes. Because what happens if they do, then at least that's one thing you can write off, okay? And then let's go on to, continue on to slide number 19, please. I'm just giving you some examples there. And again, just telling you, let's go on to slide number 21. Now, the reason I added this is a lot of you may not be aware, in order for us to provide tuition assistance to an academic institution, DOD requires that they sign a memorandum of understanding. And on that memorandum of understanding, there's a litany of requirements for the school. If the school fails to comply with it, you as the student can actually file a PECS complaint. which stands for Post-Secondary Education Complaint System. So this is also for your protection. If a school receives enough PECS complaints, and it has happened in the past, DOD has actually ceased the institution from receiving tuition assistance. So for example, if the complaints was coming from the Navy side, it's not just the Navy who can't provide tuition assistance, by the way. DOD mandates for all branches of service to cease providing tuition assistance to that academic institution who failed to comply. So this is another layer of your protection for you guys, okay? And the second requirement before we can provide your tuition assistance, as you can see on slide 21, I'm sorry, slide 22, is the WEAMS. The school's degree program must be approved by the VA. If that degree program, whether it's associate's, bachelor's, master's, or certificate, is not approved, the branches of service are prohibited from providing tuition assistance for that degree program you're seeking. Just because the school is approved by the VA, if the particular program you're pursuing is not, we cannot provide tuition assistance. So kind of reinforce that. An example is when I was again in Charleston, you had a shipmate that was trying to get a certificate in home inspection out of a local community college. The community college is approved in Beaufort. However, their certification program was not. And unfortunately, it's not a quick process. So if an institution tells you, yes, we can get it in 3 months, that's not always the case. Okay, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly here, but I just want you to understand that the schools are also on the mercy of the VA to get it approved. So if it's going to take a little bit longer than you have time for, you might want to look for another institution who offer the same program. And as you can see, we'll go on to 23, just I've already reiterated, you will be required to have counseling. It has to be provided by my colleagues at the Navy College Virtual Education Center. I'm giving you examples on how to contact them. If you're having issues contacting any of my colleagues, guys, don't hesitate, email me and I will gladly do a warm handoff. I'll introduce you to one of them electronically so that they can contact you. You have my email at the front of this slide. And in fact, if you have any questions, instead of putting it on chat, send it to me and I will answer your questions. And then I will also consolidate all the questions as I promised Chief Tech. I will forward all the questions and answers that I provide to him so that he can also share it to everybody. Okay. And let's see, go ahead and go to slide 24. I just want you to get an idea about the course catalog, the schools, how it lists. And I'm also on this website, on this PowerPoint, I'm also assisting you on how to process your TA. I give you information about NC PACE. Now on slide 28, just a friendly reminder, if some of you attended classes before joining the Navy and mom and dad paid for your schooling, if you failed the class, chances are mom and dad may have just yelled at you for failing a class. As I tell everybody, you know, the Navy doesn't yell at you if you fail a class. Unfortunately, we just take your money away. Okay, so please, as much as possible, don't fail your class, concentrate, don't overload yourself. If you're taking an 8-week term class, don't take more than 2 courses. And please factor in the fact that you also still have your work schedule, your family schedule, and your personal life. Time management is at most important when you're going to school. And if you do, if you receive an I, that's an incomplete. the policy states that you have to provide a passing grade within no later than 6 months, but there is a caveat. Typically, schools require you to complete your course and provide a passing grade within 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending on the school's policy. So please ensure that you're complying by your school's requirements also. And once the school posts the grades, unfortunately, the Navy is going to deduct that. If you fail it again, the Navy will go ahead and take the money from your paycheck. One caveat, let's say that you did fail a class, but in reality, your instructor made a mistake of posting, it actually has happened, posted their incorrect grade, and it was a passing grade. So let us know, and I will give you Fred Morales' email address. What you need to do is provide a copy of your final grade report showing you passed the class. And the reason for that is so that you can get reimbursed for your tuition assistance because you did pass the class. Now, another thing too that I need to cause to give you food for thought, there seems to be a confusion between the word cancellation of a class versus withdrawal. Cancellation means that during the drop add date, you can cancel a class and it will not cost you or the Navy money, but there's a caveat. Please ensure that you officially cancel the class and receive confirmation from your school and maintain a copy of that cancellation for your record. Then contact the virtual education center so that they can deobligate your TA voucher. And the reason for that is because if you don't, and what's going to happen is the Navy is going to come after you. So that's going to be your proof, okay? Now, if the school accidentally invoices the Navy, even though you canceled the class, you can go to your school, provide the proof, and it becomes your school's responsibility to reimburse the Navy. Please make sure that you maintain copies of your cancellation. Any documentation you have from the school, make a habit of maintaining copies of it for your records. If we can go ahead and go to slide 30. I think a lot of you are aware about Dante's information, and somebody mentioned earlier about CLEP and DSSTs. I'm a proponent of taking CLEP and DSST because that's a great way for you to fast track your completion of your college education. There's a caveat. If you're pursuing nursing, something in medicine, before you take any CLEP or DSST, because CLEP and DSST are referred to as non-traditional credits. You need to find out from your academic institution if they do accept it, and if they do ask for a complete list of the CLEP and DSST that they accept. And that's for your protection, because majority of four-year institutions who offer certain degrees like engineering, anything in the healthcare field, they're not very good about accepting non-traditional credits. And it has to do with their accrediting body. They want to make sure that the students are actually taking academic courses. So think about it, it's applied versus theory-based. Theory-based is your academic courses, applied is your courses that you're from CLEP and DSST, as well as your military credits. By the way, your military credits is also lumped in under the non-traditional credits. So some schools may accept your credits, some may not. Again, I just don't want you to be surprised, okay? The Dantes will reimburse for some exams, that's on slide 31. And I already mentioned on slide 34, I explained to you about the federal financial aid. Slide 35 is some scholarship information, but Chief Tech is also going to provide to you, and I apologize, it's 54 pages of list of available scholarships. In fact, pay close attention. Majority of these organizations are actually targeting the STEM program. So for those of you pursuing anything in the science, technology, engineering, and math, you have a lot of organizations here that are providing scholarships. If we can go back to slide 36, please, Chief. I also gave you a slide on the difference between VA education benefits, Montgomery versus post 9/11. For those of you who have Montgomery GI Bill, before you pull the trigger to go to post 9/11, I really recommend you weigh out your pros and cons, because you may be giving up more benefits than you will you receive. If you transferred your benefits to your spouse and your kids, please pay close attention to the requirements, because it is a retention tool. And on a different note, similar thing, if you transfer your post 9/11 to your spouse, and I don't wish this on anybody, I don't wish divorces on anybody, but just as a caveat, you can actually take back the post 9/11 benefits, because it cannot be part of a divorce decree. Okay. And if you let's go on to slide 38, please. It's the U.S. map. If you have not done so, go into U.S. map to see, check your rates to see what you're eligible. Essentially, all you're doing is documenting the hours. It is looked at favorably by the civilian sector, and think about it, because when you put it on your resume, it's actual document hours. You have a card that states that you have the hours that you completed, and it's acknowledged by the Department of Labor, not the Department of Navy. But again, with a little caveat, because of this, the medical field, majority of hospitals and clinics, they actually prefer that you have certification from entities that they recognize. So US MAP, it's great to have for your resume, it's documented, but you might have you might still need the additional certification in order to get the job done, okay? Slide 39 is Navy Cool. Take a look at that too and see what you're eligible. If the Navy's paying for a particular certificate, why not? And one thing too to keep in mind with this, the certification, there is one thing I learned when from the LinkedIn officials. If you have not done so, set up a LinkedIn account. If you have a certificate on your LinkedIn account, you could actually wear a badge showing what your certificate is. The headhunters are looking for people with certificates on LinkedIn. And what they actually do is they hover on your badge, and on the badge, it shows when you earn your certificate, and it will also show how long you maintain your certificate. This is how you get notices from headhunters, okay? If you have any questions, I don't want to keep the group, but please email me. And again, every question that you have, I'm going to consolidate it. I will share it. I will not share your name. I will just share the questions out back to the chief, and so that he can share it with them among the group. And please be careful when you're selecting a school, okay? Majority of the schools are great, but there are some, if you don't feel like if they're bugging you. So here's something to keep in mind. If you reached out to a school and they called you more than 3 times, then they're violating their DOD MOU. They cannot call you, reach out to you more than 3 times. So document if there's an issue. If you need help, let me know. I'll gladly help you on it. We don't want you to be harassed when you're making a decision, okay? And for food for thought, there seems to be a misconstrued notion among your shipmates. I work for the Navy. I have oversight of the academic institutions. So if there's any issues, I'm not here to say, go to this school, go to that school. When you talk to me, I'm going to give you examples of various academic institutions, and it's up to you to make your decision. If you're talking to an academic advisor, you need to find out, are they working for the institution? Because if it's a one-sided conversation, it's because they're working for the academic institution. Okay. And again, HM1, Texas A&M, my fellow Texas A&M, congratulations. I'm very familiar with, they refer to it as a medic to RN program, guys. you were asking about it, that is something that they actually instituted, and it's available online. I did talk to the dean before when they rolled out the program. I'm not promoting them because there are other academic institutions that are now seeing the beauty of the offering the online program to become a registered nurse, and their target populations are our military members in the healthcare industry. They're not the only ones, okay? And because of COVID, more and more institutions are actually rolling out online programs. So again, if you don't want to work, if you don't want to be a nurse, but you still want to stay in the healthcare, there are a lot of jobs out there. I just want you to please educate yourself what the requirements are before you commit to a school. Specifically, start with the industry. What do they require? Do they require a degree or a certificate? And then from there, and then do they require that the school be regionally or nationally accredited? And last but not least, the professional accreditation for that particular program. So don't commit until you research everything, guys. And I just want you to enjoy. By the way, there are several people. If there's anybody in the Bethesda side, my former student, he started out as E1. He's Lieutenant Commander Aful. He promised me that he would help you guys. So if you happen to be there, he will do that. And then for Pendleton, he also started out as E1, Lieutenant Commander Rebustillo. He's doing the same thing. He's helping. So please take a look at it. Again, don't be afraid to reach out. There's always somebody there to help you. And if all else fails, give me, shoot me an email. I don't mind bugging people. I have no problem bugging people to try to get somebody to help you, okay? And thank you very much, guys. And by the way, advance happy holidays, and please stay safe.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Wow. Chief Tech, I don't even know where to go from here. That information was amazing. Wow. That's what she just did right there was a mic drop. So I highly recommend that everyone, if you have questions, like Ms. Stansberry said, please reach out to her. She covered a lot of information that was amazing. So thank you.
Ollie?
Yes.
You mind if I make a quick point to Ms. Stansberry's?
Please.
Just wanted to cover one quick topic on there. She was mentioning transcripts, especially if you come from a different country. Please keep in mind that obviously if you might be coming from a different country, they might not speak English. So another step in that process is possibly transcribing your transcripts. So you might have to pay for actually covering it, going from, whatever language, let's say Spanish or, Mandarin or something, having it converted to English and then having to be responsible for getting the transcript validated by an accrediting, the institution that would accredit your transcripts here.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and go down the list of presenters so we can continue the process of hearing from everyone. Again, thank you to Ms. Stansberry for that awesome information. Chief Tech, we'll start off with you and then we'll move down the line.
Awesome. Great. Actually, Karen did me a favor and covered a lot of the topics that I was going to go over. I'm just going to make quick points on a couple things. Let me share a site here really quick. I just want to show you guys real quick here. All right. And let's go here. Can you see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So, you come in today, some of us had prior college, some of us may not have had college or never had interest for it. So you come in and you're like, man, I don't really have any interest in college, or I don't even know where to start. So we've seen a website earlier on Navy Education Program that you can navigate. As well, I want to bring you over here to Navy Cool, which is a cool website. You come here, and if you drop down here, you'll see what's called Mill Gears. And it is part of Navy Cool. If you go in there and you actually click here, you would need a CAD card. This computer is not set up for a CAD card reader right now, so I can't really go in there, and it would take too long because you actually have to type in information. So when you go in here, it's going to ask you for your academic accreditations, all the colleges you have, and it links with your JST, right? Joint transcripts. Upload all the documents, and it will kind of try to calculate and see what area and what fields you may fit in. And then you'll kind of click different types of industries or degree majors that you may have somewhat of an interest. Once you put those, it kind of gives you a choice of like where you may see yourself navigating. You know, coming in, you may not know 10, 15 years or 20 years you came in, oh, I just want to do my 20. You don't know where things may end up in a 20 year. Therefore, it kind of gives you a few options based on your interest, based on the college you've already have, or based on Navy education or NECs that you have at that point, and tries to help you navigate. So I highly recommend for folks to go and visit that site. The other thing I wanted to talk about, definitely the foreign degree credentialing. We do have a lot of sailors that come from overseas or other countries and try to convert it over. Some people have masters and bachelors, so make sure two things you need to look at. There's a lot of scams with that. So be careful who you're looking for. First, talk with your school, and every college, or I wouldn't say every, but most colleges have what's called a veteran or military advisors. Speak with those people. They will help you navigate. Most of them are prior military, so they've kind of had to navigate through this path before. Therefore, speak with them and see what certificates they actually accept. And then take that program and see if U.S. Department of Education actually approves them as well. So it's a two-step process before you start paying your money and going down that route. Last but not least, with college, when you pick a college, say if you're in a short program, you may look into programs that are not online. Say if you plan on, hey, I have a few college credits, I just need to get my associate's degree. There's a myth or a belief that you have to have an associate to get a bachelor's degree. That is, you don't have to. Sometimes you already have the credits enough to keep pushing over to getting a bachelor's degree. So it may be best to pursue a bachelor's degree instead of an associate degree. So you kind of have to weigh in your options and see what your duty status is. Are you on sea duty? Are you on a ship, you know, maybe with the Marines? Or are you on a shore duty for a couple more years that you do have the time to complete that? I was able to complete majority of the requirement for my degree, going on base, education program Saturday and Sunday. So I went to SIU. I was able to do my healthcare admin degree through that. But in my NEC, lab tech, took a lot of that credit and allowed me to pursue without having to do a whole lot of that. Now, on top of that, on weekdays, I went in the evening, used my TA, and went to a regular city college because my intent was to go to med school. So I needed orgo, physics, bio, and all that stuff. And you have to go to a brick and mortar school in order to have those accreditation when med school's looking at your acceptance, right? So it can't be an online. There are schools that will offer you, oh yeah, we'll do chemistry, we'll send you a kit, you do your little experiment and send it back to them. A lot of the med schools do not accept those programs. So you kind of have to caution yourself on which path you want to follow. So I was taking 6 classes per semester, exhausted my TA, and then definitely had to tap into my GI Bill because there wasn't enough money allotted. So please utilize all the money you can. You know, my chief then told me that $4,500 is actually your money. So if you look at it, if I ask you to give me $4,500 every semester, would you give it to me out of your savings account or out of your checking? You wouldn't, but that's really your money. So think, if you're not utilizing it, think about it as if you just gave that money up, right? So, and with that being, you know, that's why the trends that we seen last year from Navy tuition assistant being exhausted, a lot of people start to learn, taking education seriously, exhausted the money. So, you know, Navy started putting limitations on it. So please utilize that. So where I'm hitting with that is, when you are at a short command, for example, for 2 to 3 years or 4 years, depending what your NEC is, you may benefit from going to a community college that is considered a feeder school. What feeder schools are, they have agreement with the, for example, let me take you to East Coast. You go to Maryland, Walter Reed area. You have Montgomery College that is a direct feeder to a lot of schools like University of Maryland, UMUG, and things like that, that's around there. They have an agreement where, hey, your credits from that, we would accept them for our bachelor program in this sectors. So you may benefit going to those instead of doing an online course that school may not accept, and you may not get into that bachelor program that you may need the credits again. You know, you come to San Diego area, you may benefit going to San Diego Community College so that your credits are accepted through SDSU and UCST and things like that. So those are areas to navigate so that you can see these feeder schools, is what they're called, the city college system. Those students usually end up going to the 4-year programs that are within that region or that area. And then absolutely the scholarship programs, there's money everywhere. A lot of people say, oh, you know, there's not any money. I don't want to touch my GI Bill, but 9/11 exhausted, you know, or my GI Bill. If you've already touched your GI Bill, there's what's called a GI top up. I've had to use that. You know, it's a little bit of additional money on top of your TA that takes it from your GI Bill in order to pay the difference. But that's a, you know, that's a broad subject, so I won't go too deep into that. But those scholarship benefits, man, I wish I knew about those. I wish I knew about FAFSA. I didn't know that because they told me, oh, you're taking BAH. I think you're making too much. You won't qualify. That's just, you know, that's what I heard as a junior sailor, and I never really looked into it or applied. And maybe I wouldn't have had to touch my GI Bill. So please make sure you're actually applying, and then get the no from the big dog, right? Like from the big people. Let them tell you no, instead of, you know, somebody's experience is just, you know, limited. They haven't seen it or they have not experienced. It's like me, I was told no, and I'm going to tell somebody no, right? So there's that lack of information. So please make sure you actually apply to those programs and get the no from that. For those of you that have a bachelor's degree and trying to pursue a graduate program, pay attention to the regional versus national accreditation, because those do matter when you are trying to apply to a graduate program that may be coming from a nationally accredited bachelor's program, and now you're trying to apply. So, you know, you have to kind of excel at your GRE and GMAT and see what their acceptance programs are. All right. That's all I got for you guys today. Go Navy, beat Army, and let's keep going with the rest of the presenters.
All right. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Next, we're going to move to Chief Beltry.
All right. All right. Thanks, Chief. Let me share my screen here real quick. What the topic I'm going to be covering is going to be strategy, but this shouldn't take us too much time here, okay? So with that, I'm trying to get to my Excel document, and hopefully you guys are seeing in Excel here. All right, so when I talk about strategy, right, the strategy that I'm talking about is a good caveat from what Chief T was just talking about, right? I'm talking about doing a lot of research and understanding what your goal, your ultimate goal is, okay? Sometimes it's kind of hard to envision yourself down the line and see what do I ultimately want to achieve, right? So if you, but if you kind of strategize or plan a little bit and start picking apart what you might potentially want to do, you could start using your degree plan from whatever university you found, and then just lining it up here. Like, so for example, this is my wife's degree plan that I created for her, and she's going to UMGC right now, right? And she just started this program. So what I did was I took her degree plan, listed all the classes right there that you see on the left-hand column. I might have put additional information on here, you know, first computing courses, if there's any requirements, like for example, you might have to do a lower level writing class before you can go to the more advanced writing classes, right? So if there's any type of information in there, I would add that into that area, right? And then I just map out, all right, what's she capable of what kind of how many classes is she capable of handling, right? And I have here, you see the times, right? This is summer 19, part 1 and part 2. Normally when you're doing 8-week courses, it's broken up into 2 sectors because the normal semester is 16 weeks, right? So you'll see here, this is summer part 1, part 2, the fall part 1, part 2, and then we just got her classes and how many credits they are there, right? So on average, my wife was able to handle 2 classes each term, right? And we have this mapped out, and this has been her progression as she's looking on, trying to line things up. Sometimes that matters for people, especially if they want special programs, right? They're looking like, oh, I would like to apply for MSc IPP or MECEP or something like that, and they're like, I'll apply next year, yet they're not meeting the requirements of these programs. And this can let you potentially know where you fall and when you could potentially start applying for some of the Navy's programs. So creating a plan matters big time, right? It'll help you strategize on how you're gonna do this. Also, it'll help from the perspective of if you're on shore duty or you're on sea duty, right? Some classes you can take while you're on shore duty and others you can't, kind of like to Chief T's point, whether it's something that you actually have to go to a brick and mortar school or if it's a class that you can do online. So creating a plan and strategizing really helped me a lot as I finished my bachelor's and master's degree, right? If I had not have done that, I would have really been all over the place and not really achieving my ultimate goal and desire there. So I find this to be very important and very helpful for me. And when I'm engaging with other sailors, I make sure that I cover this part of their education. I really appreciate the time that everyone's giving me this morning or afternoon now. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Chief McCollum.
Wow, awesome stuff. I like that. I like that. I like that. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's move forward. Let's go to Chief Maddox next.
All right, everyone, I just have a couple points I'm gonna go over. I took some notes. So for the Pell Grant, as Ms. Stanberry was talking about, you can apply via FAFSA.gov, FAFSA.gov. You have to qualify, as in income qualify for, in order to receive that Pell Grant. So if you're, I want to say the last time I got it, I was E5, right? So if you're E6 and above, you might not qualify because it's based off income. So go on there and get that. So what I did was I utilized TA as much as I possibly could, and then the Pell Grant kicked in. Now, as they say, you can get money back, in which you can, if you don't utilize all of it, you can indeed receive money back, provided if you did all the qualifications correctly and you passed the classes. Secondly, the TA grade limit payback, as Ms. Stanberry went over, I want to touch on that real quick. For undergraduate class, you got to have a C or above, 2.0 or above, and for graduate, you got to have a 3.0 and above. Now, don't be that person that fails, because they will come get that money, essentially $333.33 in installments, all the way to $1,000. So I was that guy. So I felt that pain as a junior sailor. So don't do what I did. Also, scholarships, apply for them, get it all. And the as far as the GI Bill is concerned, and this is my personal recommendation, I feel there's enough programs out there to where you don't have to utilize the GI Bill until your graduate degree. All right, so there's plenty of ways of doing it. Please make sure you see your education service officer. Please make sure you talk to the Navy College office, and make sure you talk to career counselors, right? Because they have all those programs, all the plans, and they can point you in the right direction, right? So as we always say, it is your career. So take the bull by the horns and take charge of it. And the last thing I want to talk about and touch upon is the accreditation. I want to run over that one more time because it's very, very important, right? So you don't want to have a bachelor's degree and it's being considered a piece of paper on a wall, something that's a fabulous achievement, and it's trash and it's useless because it's not properly accredited, right? In regards to the master's degree, especially in healthcare administration, you have to be accredited through the CAMI program or the AACSBL, which is the business one, right? So you have to be cognizant of which school that you decide to attend, right? So I was at Trident University. I had my degree from there. It's regionally accredited, but yet I can't use that going forward because they don't have a properly accredited master's degree in regards to what I want to do with my career. So you have to be watchful of these accreditations, right? So these schools could prey upon the military and take your money, and you're not getting what you need from them. So as we always say, take charge of your career, take charge of your life, take charge of your plan. That's all I got. I appreciate y'all.
Wow, that was awesome. He hit the nail on the head, and what I really liked about it was the personal experience that you shared. Because not a lot of people are that vulnerable to let people know, hey, I made a mistake, I did this, or whatever. I don't want it to happen to you. So thanks for sharing that information. That is awesome. Thank you, Chief. Let's move forward with Chief Van Buskirk.
All right, caught me by surprise there. Sorry about that. What's going on, y'all? It's gonna be real quick for me. I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. Where is my, here we go. That's what I wanna share. So I'm gonna talk about not tuition top up. I'm gonna talk about CLEP exams, CLEP, Dante's, all that kind of stuff. They are very good and very useful and very cheap because they're free for you to complete and knock out some of those general education requirements, all right? Some of these US histories, world histories, psychologies, economics, all that stuff that you have to hit for your bachelor's degrees can be knocked out via your CLEP test and stuff like that. Your first step in doing a CLEP exam, though, you have to talk, that military advisor that was brought up by Chief Tech, talk with them first, okay? Because not every exam is going to be accepted by every school. So talk to your military advisor, ask them, hey, and then which ones fall into your specific degree plans. Ask them which college courses, CLEP exams can I take that fall into my degree plans. They'll send you a full list. Like I think when I asked mine, he sent me like a list of 50 tests or whatever. Then what you're gonna do, go to clep.collegeboard.org, okay? And that's how you're gonna get to these military benefits. It's going to run through, I'm not going to go too far into this. It's going to run through exactly how to register and take this test, okay? What I do want to touch on, though, is how to study for these things, okay? Because a lot of people don't know this. So in My Navy portal, if you go to the quick links page, okay? Is everybody still seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So go to the quick links page, right down here, Navy Digital Library. If you click that link, this comes up, okay? You're gonna go ahead and log in. You can do it with a CAC or with your DS logon password username combo, okay? And this is your home screen once you do log into that. This is also a great resource just for free books, music, magazine subscriptions, all kinds of stuff is in here. So I recommend you guys just go and look at that anyway. But once you're in this area, you're gonna come on down to the education and academic, all right? Click that link, and that'll bring you into all of these. Oh, shoot, log me out. Hold on, gotta log in. Sorry about this, y'all. I don't mean to be taking up more time. All right, now that it's logging me in again, we're gonna hit that education and academic link, like I said, okay? It's gonna bring up all of these different like kind of areas that you can get into. I want you to scroll down to, was that it? Nope, that was not it. The EBSCO Learning Express DoD Test Prep, okay? Going in here, it will give you, and this is test preps for any kind of exam that you wanna talk to, right? You can just Google whatever, right? CLEP, Principles of Microeconomics is Enhanced Study Practice. Bam, register, take that course, all right? What that is gonna do, let me get back to my screen here. All right, what that is gonna do is it's gonna run you through like an online free tutorial and basically give you the wave tops of microeconomics in that specific example, and then teach you how to test. It'll provide you free practice exams. It'll provide you the free book that you can study through. It'll provide you flashcards. It provides you everything you need to study effectively for this CLEP exam. You know, most people can take a CLEP exam by studying for about a month, maybe 2 months, might take you a little longer, might take you a little shorter. Either way, make sure you plan ahead and you ask the questions, and then utilize the Navy Digital Library to study for these. So what does this actually do? If you follow all of the advice that I just gave you, it'll knock out however many classes you can via a test for free, because the Navy through Navy Cool will knock out all of the costs of that test, and then for the training as well, for the studying, it's all free for you, is available too. The caveat to that freeness is that you can take one CLEP exam. So let's say you're taking microeconomics. Right? And you can take that microeconomics CLEP exam once. If you make the passing score, perfect. If you don't, you can take it again, but you will have to come out of pocket for that. The Navy is only going to pay for one test, okay? There's no such thing as failing a CLEP exam. There's either passing or not passing. That's it. There's no having to repay money back or anything like that. You get one exam per exam. Now, if you take the microeconomics, you do not pass that exam, that does not mean you can't take other CLEP exams, right? You can still take college algebra or macroeconomics or whatever else is able to apply to your degree plan. It's just, if you're taking the same test over and over and over again, those second and third times that you take that are going to have to come out of your pocket. I'm going to go ahead and drop those links into this chat as well for y'all, just so that you guys can go and explore those websites yourselves. I just don't want to take up too much more of your time. But again, the Navy Digital Library, right? I see somebody was not aware of it. I'm telling you, you want a subscription to Time, Newsweek, newspapers. There's an app on your phone that you can get for Overdrive. This is also true for most public libraries in your towns. They also use the Overdrive app, and you can just check out books online, audiobooks, everything like that. You'll never have to buy a book again, I promise. But that's all I got.
Wow. I'm wild right now. This is another reason why I love these live Zoom sessions, because as we talked about earlier, we learn so much as we do this. Wow, thank you so much for that, Chief Van Buskirk. I know, and I see, I think Chief Jarrell said it too. We weren't aware of that information. So junior sailors, just so you know, you're not the only ones. All right, this is for anyone. All right, you don't know what you don't know, and that's why we do this. This is exactly why we do this. So thank you so much for that. Wow. All right. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. Let's move forward next to Chief Jones.
All right. I guess it's good morning for me. Good afternoon for those of you that are, further to the east than I am. So, I mean, pretty much everybody covered a lot of the stuff I was going to cover. I guess for me, I'm going to cover something that's not necessarily specific to obtaining a degree and stuff like that, as far as the college aspect and stuff, is more of, when people say, I don't have the time to go to college, I don't have the ability to do it, I can't take the classes I want to take because I'm working or whatever have you. So I'm a single mom, and I've been on 3 operational billets as a single mother, and I have completed my associate's degree, my master's degree, and my bachelor's degree. Well, bachelor's and then master's, and they weren't all online. So my master's degree is a master's in forensic science, which is a technical degree, which did require me to do a lot of in-class lab courses. And so when people say that they don't have time, everybody has the same 24 hours in every day. What you do with it is that's on you, entirely on you. So one of the things that I did, people say, oh, nobody ever told me I could do FAFSA. Nobody ever told me I could do this, I could do that. If you're always going to have the answer no, unless you ask the question. So when I was in HM2 and I was trying to prep for completing my bachelor's degree and doing all those requirements, health science courses that required labs, I asked my chain of command, hey, this class starts at this certain time, or the community college is offering it, but they offer the class and it goes from 1,300 to 1,500. What can I do to attend those classes? And I actually asked my chain of command, and I got approval to do an alternate work schedule. And I was not working during those hours, and I went to school during the day on 4 days a week for 8 weeks. And I was working nights, and I was working the weekends, and I was working at the brig on the weekends and doing all that kind of stuff so that I could do an alternate work schedule to go to school. So the answer is always going to be no until you ask the question. So always keep that in mind. There's always alternatives to everything. One thing that I haven't heard anybody cover on the FAFSA for the Pell Grant is understand Once you complete a bachelor's degree, you are no longer eligible for that Pell Grant. That is only available to you for undergraduate. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to utilize it early, because it goes away once you get your bachelor's degree and you're no longer eligible to get that Pell Grant. So then you've got to work for external sources of money. Make sure you use those scholarships. If you guys didn't look, I posted specifically for National University. I posted something on the Facebook page, I want to say in the last couple of days, that has some scholarship opportunities. And even though if you read through that, it says it's not eligible for the nursing program if people are going nursing, but they do have a health services scholarship in there. You just have to, if you go on that link that I posted, you can go to their scholarships page, and they actually have a long list of scholarships ranging from $500 all the way up to full tuition programs for their programs. So make sure that you're looking for those. Go to the veteran centers at the schools. I haven't heard anybody say that yet. Go talk to the veterans administrations or the VA centers in the schools. They have a wealth of resources. They will tell you about grants. They will tell you about scholarships. They will give you every resource that they have available for the programs at their school, to include all of the credits that they will transfer. So there are caps. Schools do have a cap of how many credits they will transfer in from CLEP, from other colleges and everything like that. So before you start going to a bunch of community colleges and online classes and CLEP classes, make sure that you talk to whatever school you plan to get your ultimate degree from, and make sure that all of those credits will be taken, because they do have a cap of how many credits they allow to transfer in and how many you are required to take with that institution. So some of them require only 4 or 5 classes to obtain a degree from them, and some of them require that you take 15, 20, or 25 classes with that school in order to get a degree through that institution. So make sure that you have those conversations. But other than that, oh, and as far as the thing, I know Miss Stansberry, was that her name, Stansberry? She did mention about the whole 14-day. I am a command approver for tuition assistance. That 14 days includes weekends and holidays. I cannot tell you how many times I have had to apologize to a sailor, not that it was my fault, but apologize to a sailor that they submitted their TA on that 14th day at like 17:30, 1800 on a Friday afternoon, you know, Friday evening. And I come in on a Monday morning and I see the notification in my email and I go to approve it. And the command says, sorry, you can't approve this. It has been canceled. So make sure that you guys are submitting that TA. You can submit it 120 days in advance. So submit it early and get it done and out of the way, because those of us that are command approvers, we have primary jobs. We have everything else that we're doing. And I usually sign them the same day that I get them. And still there's people who do it on the last minute. Little key to that, just because your command approver doesn't get it signed by day 14 doesn't mean it cannot be signed. Again, your answer will always be no until you ask the question. The Navy College office actually does have the ability to go in and they can modify that request so that your command can go in and review it. But when they do that and they click the button, your command reviewer has to sign it off before 23:59, that same day that the Navy College goes in there and clicks that little button to waive that 14-day period. So again, the question's always no until you ask. So if you got any questions, everybody's got my contact information, or you can reach out to me on Facebook.
That was awesome. And I think what I love about that, one thing I love about that was the TA portion of it, because we've talked about that before. And I'm not going to speak today because we got enough presenters, but I will say, to add on to that, that's exactly why for me, when I get my course, my degree plan or whatnot, I look at my classes and I go ahead, like you mentioned, the 120 days, I go and submit all my TA out to 120 days and go ahead and try to get that approved, and at least let it sit at Navy College and they can put it in the pecking order. Because that's another thing that, especially I noticed last year, was people were waiting to the last minute to submit their TA. And then, you know, depending on where you were in the pecking order with TA, you probably didn't get approved in a certain time frame. So I think there was an email that came out that said, hey, if you know you're going to be taking classes during this time frame, put in your TA now so you can go ahead and get in line. So yeah, great information, Chief Jones, and sailors, definitely check your emails from Navy College office, because they send out emails. Check your emails and read them, because there's usually good information in there in regards to your TA. So awesome stuff. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move forward. Let's move next to HM1 Gibson.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Depending on where you are, I am HM1 Gibson. This is actually my first time in this Zoom meeting, so I appreciate being invited. I'm just kind of here just to give a little bit of insight about how I got here, where I am. I am currently active duty. I've been in the Navy for 13 years, and I received my bachelor's degree in nursing at Texas A&M in Corpus Christi. And I'm an HM1, and I'm a registered nurse with a bachelor's degree, and I did it all without doing a Navy program, as well as using just tuition assistance to get my prerequisites done. But my entire RN program for the 18 months was done with my GI Bill. It was extremely hard. It was extremely taxing. But just like Chief said, is that it's all about time management. I got the support of my chain of command. I told them, I sat everybody down, my LPO, my chief, my DIVO, department head, and I was like, if I give you my 40 hours, will you let me go, or do you support me going to nursing school? My officer said yes. My HM1 told me I was going to fail, but it was okay. He was just, being him. And then my chief told me that I'm not going to pass, but he loved me, or whatever that meant, and gave me his blessing as well. And if it wasn't for that support of my chain of command, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. Like I said, I used the post 9/11 GI Bill. I didn't use the Montgomery GI Bill because for some reason it was going to take too long. There's a lot of different ways that people can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, e-benefits. If you ever want to know anything about your any benefits that you have once you become a veteran, or any benefits that you want to have for education-wise, e-benefits. If you want to buy a house, e-benefits. Education, e-benefits. Like I said, with time management, I'm one of those people where I have to write stuff down. If you don't write it down, you don't hold yourself accountable. I'll write it and I'll post it all over my house to where I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to do that. Oh yeah, I need to do that, because we're all human. We all have a bunch of things that are going on and we always forget. So time management, write stuff down, keep yourself accountable. Scholarships, there are a ton of scholarships that are out there. Specifically, if you want to become a nurse, one great website is nurse.org. They have everything under the sun. And I mean it, like everything under the sun, from if you're an LVN, LPN, to when you want to get your doctorate to become a CRNA. If you want to go to space as a nurse, that's a real thing. I didn't know that until like last month for some reason. So if you want to do something like that, all those things are out there for you as well. Military-friendly colleges. So I'm stationed here in San Antonio, and the Alamo Colleges is a big hub when it comes to doing prerequisite courses. And I know some people that live in the Dallas area, they have that. San Diego, I was in Bethesda recently, and they have all that stuff going on over there as well. So military-friendly colleges that can help you do your prerequisites. Always, for when it comes to accreditation purposes, always check the state's accreditation and that school's accreditation through CCEN, and I believe the other one was ACEN. And specifically for me, since I'm here in Texas, I check both of those, as well as I check the Texas Board of Nursing, because it'll tell you what schools all are qualified within that for their accreditation. As well as they have a military section, especially here in the state of Texas, that'll tell you, hey, if you are a Navy corpsman, or if you are an Air Force medic or Army medic, which there shouldn't be any in here, but hey, we don't discriminate. Go Navy, beat Army. So they have specific seats specifically for medical veterans enlisted wise. So corpsmen, Army, and Air Force as well. So those are definitely one of those things that you guys want to check out. COVID has been a thing, obviously, since we'll say last November, but March, at least here in the United States, to where everything is going online. I went to school online before it became popular. You can go to nursing school online. I went to nursing school online for the whole year and a half. I did all of my clinicals here at my local hospital. And like I said, my chain of command afforded me that time for me to do school, give them my 40 hours, as well as me taking care of clinicals and me still taking care of my family and trying to live a somewhat social life. Don't forget about those special programs. You got MECEP, you got Stay 21, You also do have the 6-month early out program if you want to try to go to school 6 months, or if you want to try to get out of the military because you want to go to school 6 months. You also have the golden and the silver ticket, which allows for you to essentially kind of take a break from the military. So if you want to take a break from the military for up to 2 years, and then you want to come back in, or I'm sorry, take a break from the military so you can take care of whatever educational things that you want to take care of, you can come back into the military after you finish that. And then you also have, at least specifically for nurses, you could talk to a recruiter. They have the nurse candidate program, which allows for you to go to school for 24 months. You did that? Did you do it, Chief?
I'm a medical officer recruiter, but we'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, you also have direct commission. So for me, that's the route that I'm heading right now because I already have my degree and I already have my license and I already work. So once I hit a specific time, then I will go ahead and I will put in for the direct commission. That's pretty much all that I have. I just want to let everybody know that there's no excuse. There's no excuse. There are other people in this world that would love to be in the position that you're in to have education, just like vaccines. We're not going there, but just like education, other people would love to be in the position that you are in to get a free education of some way, shape, or form. So make sure you guys take advantage of it, and learn new things every day. I literally just learned about that digital library that Chief just talked about. And I wish I would have known about that not too long ago. So that's all I have. If anybody is looking to reach me, you can find me on Facebook. I also have a Instagram, a YouTube, and a Facebook group called The Boot Nurse, where I put out nursing information for whatever reason that you may have questions about. I'm super active on Instagram if you have any questions as well, and I also do giveaways for like nursing prep stuff as well as other medical prep stuff. So keep pushing, keep fighting, and that's all I got.
HM1 Gibson, that was very inspiring and very motivating. All right, thank you so much for that. Two things I took away. One, it sounds like you want to transfer to Space Force to become a space nurse. That's one thing I took away.
I totally would.
And the second thing I took away was your group in regards to helping people with medical prep and nurse prep. So if you don't mind, at some point, can you go into our inspiration group and post a link to your group? So therefore, sailors that might want help in regards to medical prep or whatever it is you're doing, they can know where your group is. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, HM1 Gibson.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, and that actually is a segue to our next presenter, who is going to be HM2 Watson, who actually is in the Career Intermission program. So HM2 Watson, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you, Chief. And HM1, like I'm learning as I'm listening to all this. So you guys, thank you. Being I think the most junior speaker, I'm kind of like watching everybody like, oh my gosh, you guys are leading the way for me. So I'm definitely, so right now I'm in career intermission. I took career intermission in 2019. So right before COVID hit. So it's just mind blowing to step back and see how the Navy's adapting, wishing I was there to help. Before this, I came from 1st Battalion, 12th Marines, so I was operational then, and now when I go back, I'll be able to go to shore duty. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, especially given that now all of our clinicals are online for nursing school, so I will get to come back enlisted. So a little bit about career intermission. It's not a direct, it's not a direct commissioning program. I will have to come back as an E5, and that's the contract I signed, and I'm okay with that. Eventually, I will be able to apply for direct commissioning. So that's just a little bit about what I'm doing, and I just wanted to kind of put myself out there and let you guys know that it was an option. I won't take up too much time because there's a lot of motivators here that I'm actually looking forward to listening to as well. Career intermission is, it's a contract. I don't know, for every year you're out, you're 2 years in. So it's definitely something that you have to be committed to the Navy. So I love the Navy. I don't plan on going anywhere. Just a little background. And I got my EMT when I was at my first command. So if you have the opportunity at a short command to get that, do it. It's not that hard if your command supports you. I was at Walter Reed, so they were incredibly supportive. I was there for 4 years. So I got my EMT there. And then if you're in the right place at the right time, at the right command, big things can happen. The Walter Reed sent me through the 68 Charlie program, which was an Army program. So I had a chance to be TAD for 14 months in an Army program where I got my LPN. So, you just stay the course, be motivated, be like the best of the best at all times. And you'll never know, you get selected for these random like pilot programs. So the goal was hopefully that maybe they would send more corpsmen through. I think a couple corpsmen did actually go through the program after me. I was one of the first 4. So I earned my LPN in 2015 from Walter Reed through the 68 Charlie program. So if you guys have any questions or want to know more about anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm definitely on Chief's page here, so I like being there. So thank you guys for being here, and thanks for listening. That's it. That's all I got to say.
That is awesome. And before we move to the next presenter, I actually have, I guess, either a question or something that can help with career intermission, because as well as I know, not a lot of people are aware of the career intermission program. So when you go into the career intermission program, and let's say you want to go to school and you get your nursing degree, mm-hmm. do you have to come back on active duty first to apply to a commissioning program, or can you apply to a commissioning program while you're in the career intermission program?
So you can technically apply for a commissioning program while you're in. You definitely can. There's time restraints though, so you have to, depending on who the career intermission manager is right now. Right now, the career intermission manager, he's not the most supportive at the moment, but that changes, you know what I mean? So he wouldn't, unfortunately at the time, he wouldn't sign a conditional release for me to be able to apply. So before I can apply for a commissioning program, I have to apply for a conditional release. But you have to, in order to apply for the nurse candidate program, which is what I was hoping to do, you have to have so much time left in your program. But the career intermission manager wouldn't release me until I was 12 months out. But that only gave me 3 months left in my program. So that wasn't enough time to be in the nurse candidate program. So unfortunately, my window wasn't there, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stop me. I'm going to direct commission at some point. But this is a good opportunity, for me to come back as an HM2, especially given the COVID situation. So now I'm going to come back to shore duty, hopefully get a hospital. And then I can shadow and I'll work my way in there and I'll network and I'll do what I got to do to get that experience. So that way I can get into critical care or whatever the Navy needs, and then apply for direct commissioning. And if it's still the doors are closed, then I'll just work on my master's and get my master's in nursing, and then, work towards it that way. So that's the plan.
Wow. Look, I'm looking at all the presenters while you're speaking, and we're all shaking our head because we see the motivation and inspiration in you. So I have no doubt.
I'm motivated by you guys.
I have no doubt that at some point you're going to achieve your goal. Whenever that day is, I have no doubt that you're going to reach it. So awesome work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move to HM1 Chapin.
Good evening. I'm actually over here in Bahrain right now, so it is good evening to everybody, but good morning and good afternoon to all of you as well. I first want to just kind of wrap up a lot of what people had already talked about personally, and kind of go over some of like the bad experience I had, which translated into a success story. And part of that was because when I first joined the Navy, I wanted to just get my degree. I was like, okay, what do I need to do to join school? So got to my first duty station, HN, was like, okay, I'm going to enroll in school. So all I did was found the first online school I could find. It was a for-profit. Long story short, finished my degree in 6 months, but I had $10,000 worth of student loan debt because at the time we didn't have these mentorship sessions that could help junior sailors. So it was like 16 years ago. So we just didn't have that. And so it was a degree that I didn't want. It was a degree that wasn't going to help me. It wasn't going to help my future. And I had $10,000 worth of debt. So I turned that bad experience and had to kind of regroup and come up with like, hey, what is my plan? And so my first talking point really is find out a plan, come up with a goal, and then ultimately like, hey, how do I achieve that goal? So what I did was I Googled basically 2 of my favorite hobbies / jobs. I joined the Navy because I wanted to go to physical therapy school. I loved healthcare, or I loved IT. I wanted to study, in the healthcare field. So I Googled healthcare IT. What I came across was healthcare informatics. And a lot of people don't know what healthcare informatics now is, but it is a huge degree plan that it's becoming bigger and bigger. If everybody knows about Genesis, that's basically what it is. It's project management and healthcare IT and project management and Genesis implementation and all that stuff. So what I did was I Googled healthcare IT, came across healthcare informatics. They have a credentialing body that oversees all healthcare informatics programs throughout the United States. So what I did was I looked at the 10 to 15 colleges that I could go to that had that degree plan, that had a program that I was interested in. And one thing I kind of took away from it, actually from my bad experience, was I wanted to make sure that, this is kind of weird, but I had to go to a school that had a football team. It is no ifs or buts. I didn't want to go to a for-profit. I had to go to a state school, especially what like Ms. Stansford was talking about earlier. Every state school has an online program almost. So find one. I had to go to one that had a football program. So eventually I went to the University of Toledo. Had never lived in Ohio, had never been to Ohio, but it was the easiest one for me to get into. It had the best prereqs for myself. It had everything I needed to get into the program from where I was at in my career, where I was in my educational experience. So that's another talking point, was find the prereqs for the program that you want to get into and find out what you need to do to get there. After that, I looked at the 10 to 15. I found the easiest one I wanted to get into. I just enrolled into that school and got into it, finished my degree, and then ultimately I got into a master's program at the University of Washington, which is actually the predominant school that I wanted to go to. So I wanted to go to University of Washington. I wanted a health informatics degree. And pretty much ultimately it just kind of snowballed after I got that plan. I created the plan. I kind of just researched, did the little background story on all of it, all the different programs, all the different prereqs, all the different admission requirements, and eventually got into the degree I wanted to, the school I wanted to get into, and kind of just worked out from there. So from personal experience, and not everybody has that route, but I think ultimately you can't start somewhere if you don't have a goal, and you kind of delay and you kind of like flip-flop back and forth between degrees. And from there, it's just kind of hard to continue. It's like you can't finish something if you don't start on the trajectory that you want to go on to. And I kind of eventually found that. And once you start writing down your goals and you make them short-term goals, you make them long-term goals, it's a little bit easier to finish. And that's all I got, Chief.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good way to turn a negative to a positive, because believe it or not, there are many people out there that have started down a path like that. So the fact that you were able to turn that around and go to a school with a football team, right? Because that's what you wanted. Let alone their football team might not be that good, but I mean, hey, your quarterback. Your quarterback is good. Your quarterback came from Georgia, by the way. Go Dogs. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move to our last presenter, and I always save him for last because I just feel like the people with the wisdom, you gotta let them go last so they can hear everything and then they can put it into some kind of perspective and stuff. Look, he's shaking his head like, why does he always do this? All right. So last but not least, we got CMC Hodges that's gonna share some information with us. You got it, brother.
Hey, thanks, Chief. Let's see here. Try to bring some real. So let's talk today we'll talk real, good, and truth. So let's start with the real piece of it. The Navy needs smart enlisted sailors. It's great that everybody. I'm excited that we have people that want to bring their enlisted experience and go join the wardroom and benefits on that side of the house. I ask you. Matter of fact, I'm going to share my screen because I pulled them up. Here we go. Maybe. If it lets me, we're going to start off here, and I'm going to share a different document. All right, so first shared screen. If you don't know what this is, take 30 seconds and go to the MPC, go under that selection boards tab. This is the chief convening order. The very last line of there, it talks about advancing your professional and civilian education. We're finally to a point in the Navy where we're taking this stuff for real, and we'll finish with that here in a second. I wanted to real quick go through. So you got E7, slight easy verbiage. The E8 convening order, significantly more verbiage regarding advanced civilian and military education. And then you get to that 1%. And that 1%, that education piece of it becomes a bear, becomes a monster. It's a huge factor. So the way TA is funded is designed to do one class all the time. I appreciate that we're talking about ways to benefit that up when you have the opportunity to double down or to triple down or take 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, whatever you're capable of supporting. But the way the TA is funded is so that you're always learning. You should be enrolled in one class all the time. The Navy's asking you to take 1 additional hour every day. At the end of that workday, it's 1 hour and work on a class. Eat this elephant one bite at a time. Excited that we're starting to expand that out because going from the current TA to next year where we expand that out into a bigger piece of it. However, even following the current TA model, you can take 1 class. Sea duty, shore duty, you could take 1 class all the time. So let's talk about the way that the Navy's going. I'm going to share my screen one more time and we're going to talk about a completely new pilot program. Here we go. For those of you who are unaware, the Navy is the last branch of service to actually have our own accredited community college. We're doing that now. The pilot starts in January, and we'll roll through what we're looking at now. The intent is to bring this thing online, completely separated, completely divorced from the TA civilian education piece of it. This is funded through separate pots of money. You're not using TA to pay for this. This is funded through its own program under the Navy War College and some partner education opportunities that are out there right now. But there's a separate line item that will fund this one so that you can get a, sorry, let me see, there it goes. So that you can get a fully transferable associate's degree that, by the way, is focused on making you a better enlisted leader today. And then you can transfer that into a farther career, either while you're in the Navy or post-Navy. Not really going to go into that one. Here's what we're after. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to read through this one. This is the draft version of the mission and vision statement. They haven't even hired the professor yet. That's the next milestone. We're hiring a chancellor of students for the enlisted community college of the Navy in February. We are enrolling 500 sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen beginning in January. We're starting off fairly narrow, but it will expand dramatically over the course of the next 24 months. Here's a big piece of it. So the way that the community college of the Navy is set up is we're going to start you off 15 hours of Navy core. And that's the same standard core that translates across the board. They're fully accredited. The gen ed classes, the hard maths, the social studies, sciences, that's in that Navy core. And then we get into some more well-rounded general education. And then the professional focus initially is limited to 5 paths as we do this trial version. That's a phase 1 rolls out. Here, I'll just jump to that real quick so we can see what that looks like. This is what we're starting in January. These 5, that's only showing 4 on there. Where's the 5th one? That's not on there. There's 5 degree paths that we're starting with. This is a baseline. This is that trial version. The goal for next year, the 2022, is to expand out to a whole laundry list of associate degree paths that directly tie into your professional job as an enlisted sailor. Just give you a breakdown of what we're looking at now. We were limited to 230 students in the trial for phase 1. Phase 1 is going to be over, oh, sorry, I actually have a slide that tells you the timeline on it. Let's put this out there. There you go. I want to throw this up there. This is the methodology that Navy Community College is going to go to. There are going to be 6 to 10 week self-paced online schools. 6 to 10 week self-paced online. The intent of the trial is it's 100% online. The phase 2 trial follows kind of an NC PACE model where you'll be able to take the same college classes with limited or no bandwidth. So want to show you kind of the way that the Navy is going, and we're finally starting to bring this online. I can pull up another one here to show you the long timeline. This is that long view. It goes all the way out to 2026. By the time we bring this sucker fully online and start getting up to that 15 to 30,000 student enrollment, it's a process. It'll take us a little bit to get there, but we're getting there. In the interim, 1 class at a time. Don't make college hard. Don't make being in the Navy hard. We specialize in making things too difficult or coming up with excuses to not do it. The ask is 1 hour a day. If you can find 1 hour a day and just delay turning on the Xbox for 1 hour, you'll be okay. But 1 hour a day is all it takes, and you'll get a degree. If nothing else, you become a much better leader. And that's what we're after. All of this stuff is about making you the best person you can be to the Navy's benefit. Hey, I love y'all. I appreciate you guys sharing that wealth of knowledge that Navy MWR Digital Library, and if you're a book nerd, I'm not going to name names or point fingers at myself, but if you're a book nerd, yeah, that thing is, you can download it to your phone, and then you download them and you don't even need an internet connection, and you can always be listening to leadership books and podcasts, and oh man, I'm just saying.
All of Simon Sinek's books are on that. Just going to put that out there.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, hey, continue to do what you do each and every day. You guys impress the Jesus out of me. I love y'all.
Wow. Wow. I went out and bought all of Simon Sinek's books. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to stop here.
I mean, I did too, though, because you got to support the good author. But yeah, all those books, and all the good ones you hear about are on MWR. And if it isn't on the digital library, y'all can submit titles for what you think's important.
So you mean to tell me I done spent like $300-400 on leadership books and I didn't have to? Great. I could have bought a pair of sneakers. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey,
now you know.
Hey, before we move forward, there is a question, CMC Hodges, in regards to the Navy Community College rollout. Do you know if that will only be for active duty, or will reservists be allowed to do that as well?
Yeah, so the initial rollout on this one is pure active duty only. So it's not open to spouses, and so active duty and FTS, let me put it that way, active duty and FTS. They've looped those two together, but it is not available to reservists at this point in time because it's structured to directly complement your enlisted, the NLD framework that we're talking about. A lot of those core competency classes, like the Navy Leadership and Ethics seminar, which is the first 3 credits that you'll get, by the way, are directly tied into the active duty required programs.
Awesome. Gotcha. All right. Well, okay. So we have now reached all of our presenters for today. Before we do any closing remarks, because it is now 2 p.m., so we're going to get ready to start shutting this down. Before we do any closing remarks, any sailors out there, do you have any questions? Any sailors that are listening, do you have any questions? You can type it in the chat, or I prefer you come off audio and ask your question. No sailors have any questions? All right. So with that being said, if you have any questions, sailors, you can put it in the chat box, or you can reach out to any of these presenters individually. What I always like to do is, before we close out, I like to give the presenters closing remarks. I ask that we keep them to maybe a few seconds so we can get up out of here. So we'll start with Chief Tech, closing remarks.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. I just remembered one more thing about that contract stuff. I was kind of affected by it. You know, I had completed all of my requirement. All I had to do was apply for graduation, but then went on deployment, you know, sea tour, all of that stuff happened, came back. The school had actually changed their degree program, which required me to do another 2 additional. So everything else was complete, you know, and then it took 4 years to get another degree. I mean, to complete the degree. So make sure you lock yourself into that contract so that, you know, things change all the time and you don't miss out on that opportunity. On that, thank you very much for listening. Any questions, put it up, and I usually follow the Facebook page. You know, and then we'll have Ms. Karen Stanberry's PowerPoint and the PDF for the scholarship opportunities will be uploaded. You can utilize that, contact her. She's very responsive. As well, if we see anything, I'll make sure to message her and then get back to you with the information. All right.
Absolutely.
Go Navy, beat Army. Let's not forget that.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Good stuff. Chief Beltry, closing remarks.
Hey, closing remarks. Yes, definitely. Be brief. I definitely want to thank you for the opportunity to allow me to be on this. I spoke about strategy. So in closing that, I do want to hit this point real quick. Right? When you think about strategy sometimes the school you go to matters a great deal, right? So as a Penn State alum, I'm not saying, hey, people go to Penn State. What I'm saying, sometimes going to those brick and mortar, those traditional, long historical schools matters a great deal, because it'll open up a whole new world to you, right? That you can kind of like go to the alum society and potentially get future opportunities that might have not been afforded to you, right? As these new online schools are forming, they don't have that strong alum kind of community. So really pay attention to that, right? When I say strategy, this is dig deep into it and speak to some of your mentors. They're going to really be able to give you a lot of information that you might not, if you're a junior sailor, or even if you've been in a while, might not find. So thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing many of you out in the fleet.
Awesome, good stuff, good stuff. Chief Van Buskirk, closing remarks.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it, guys. I know this is a long one and a long conversation. So just for the people who are looking at the recording, can't see the chat, I put my contact info in there. If you have any questions about CLEP exams, preparation, anything like that, feel free to reach out. So my number is 401-332-9146. Shoot me a text, give me a call anytime. I'm here for y'all. College is near and dear to my heart, changed my life. So reach out.
All right. Chief Maddox, closing remarks.
If you don't have a mentor, get one. If you need help, seek it out. And go Navy, beat Army. Let's get it.
All right. H1 Chapin, closing remarks.
Basically what I said, just create a plan and stick to it. And yeah, Chief, thanks for the opportunity to be able to speak this afternoon. And then go Navy, beat Army.
Absolutely. A lot of pride today. Chief Jones, closing remarks.
I'm always here to help if anybody has any questions. I've got a lot of resources for career counselor wise, and on the outside, I got a lot of resources. And one thing that wasn't covered also that I forgot to say is for the Navy Digital Library as well. If you are in your programs, you can actually access all of those peer-reviewed journal sites like PubMed and everything that require paid things that people usually pay to do their research for their papers. You could get access to those sites for free through the Navy Digital Library as well. So before you go and pay, $150 for a subscription to PubMed, go through the Navy Digital Library to access all of those peer-reviewed journals for your research. So make sure that you're accessing all those different sites. I just say PubMed as a general, but all of those sites are through Navy Digital Library for free. So before you shell out a bunch of personal money, do that. And if you got questions about claiming education on your taxes, that's a separate topic. You can hit me offline and I will definitely educate you on claiming everything to include your computer on your taxes. So.
Hey.
Wow. I just want to say, wow, with this digital library. Really? PubMed? Really? Okay. You know what? Next, HM2 Watson, closing remarks. Wow.
No, I just want to thank all you guys for being here. And, I took a lot from this session, so thank you. That's all. And if anybody needs anything, you can find me on Facebook or on your page for sure. Okay.
Awesome. And thank you so much again, HM2 Watson. HM1 Gibson, closing remarks.
Man, I really do learn new things every day. I appreciate it, Chief. And Master Chief really did drop a gem about that community college stuff. And it most definitely, Chief, should be part of a CDB. That I think digital library is like at the top of everybody's just like, wow, today. But I really don't have anything. I appreciate the opportunity for everybody letting me come by and, speak my truth, so to speak. I really just learned a bunch of stuff today, so that's cool. For anybody that's listening to the recorded session, I didn't put my stuff in the chat, but I'll make a little blurb inside of the group, who I am, what I'm about, and what social media platforms you can find me. But if you're listening to it, everything is at the Boot Nurse, and you'll see my gracious face and all the videos and stuff that I've put up and all the little motivational things for me, trying to help people out. And like Chief said, get a mentor, because if you want to be a billionaire, you will find a billionaire and try to imitate the things that they did. Or if you want to be a millionaire, or if you want to be an engineer, it's like, if you want to get there, you got to find the people who are already there so you can trek the line that they did, because they did something right and they did something wrong. So if that's what you want to do, get a mentor, and you can have a million mentors. You're not only limited to one. But that's my my whole spiel, and I hope everybody could take something from this. And thank you again.
Awesome, good stuff, good stuff. All right, so in getting ready to close out, like I said, I wasn't going to speak much today because we had enough presenters that talked about so much information. There is something I will share on the screen for some of y'all to see. Definitely for the Chiefs, to Master Chiefs, there is the Advanced Education Voucher. I'm not going to cover that today, but just for those that are watching, I would say read over it, because this is a separate pot of money for you to achieve your bachelor's and or master's degree. And when I talked to Forrest Cole about it, I think a year or two ago, he said it was very underutilized. So Chiefs and all the way up to Master Chiefs, Advanced Education Voucher is one thing that I wanted to just pull up. And the thing I will end with, and this is what the page is about, so of course I have to end with this, is with everything that we talked about today, for any sailor that's listening, start with why. And I know some people probably say, you can't use start with why with everything. Well, technically you can, because my thing is, if you know why you're doing something, for example, my question would be, you want to go get your degree, why? Why do you want that degree? And it goes back to what H1 Chapman talked about earlier. So many of us start off with just saying, I want a degree. Why? Because I want to put it on my eval, or I want to get award points. So then you're paying, you're giving time, energy, and possibly paying money to a school just to get 2 points towards an advancement exam. Why don't you figure out why you want that degree, and then you can start utilizing that degree for something else. So me and Chief Jones talk, and I just recently got my master's in public health this year, and I reached out to her. The reason why I wanted that public health degree, because I absolutely want to give back to the public. Had nothing to do with trying to put it on a wall or whatever it looks good. It's about actually giving back to the public. So when you figure out why you want to do something, then your what and your how will follow that. And I personally believe that if you figure out why, then it's not going to be a pain or a struggle for you. You're going to love every heartache that comes with it. Because even with writing those papers that you have to do, you're still learning, and you love learning because you know why you're doing it. So start with why you're choosing to go down a career path. And if you do that, then you can start, doing everything else that we talked about today. So I hope that makes sense, what I just said. But with that being said, for all the presenters, thank you all again so much. For all the sailors that showed up, thank you again for paying attention. And I will post this link later. And that's all we have. So stay blessed, stay safe, and you guys have a good weekend. We're out. Go Navy, beat Army.
Go Navy, beat Army.
Hey.